Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with a weekly comic book roundup. We've already covered this week's X-Men books as well as this week's Star Wars book, and now we move on to this week's Avengers books and Spider-Man books. Starting with Avengers number 46, the beginning of World War She-Hulk. So, the issue is interspersed with now and earlier moments. The now moments show She-Hulk being tortured in the Red Room. The infamous location that bred some of the most dangerous spies and super killers in the Marvel Universe. Multiple Black Widows, Winter Soldier, the Red Widow. Yeah. So, basically, it turns out that Gorilla Man kind of sort of poisoned the Avengers Mountain, allowing the Winter Guard to infiltrate. Only a handful of... the full team isn't present. Only Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Hulk, Captain America, and Black Panther are present, as well as Starbrand, Kid, and Echo. But we see Hulk training with Captain Marvel, and while she's training, she's trying to remember. She's basically repeating in her mind various points about various facts about the law. But the Winter Guard attacks. Darkstar takes down Captain Marvel, and Crimson Dynamo engages the Hulkbuster subroutine, which basically which rather than bulking up the Crimson Dynamo armor, it rather takes the Hulkbuster, the seemingly Hulkbuster add-ons, and turns them into basically a prison to hold She-Hulk. But Starbrand child, Brandy, realizes that the Dark Force is present. Dark Star controls the Dark Force, so... Gorilla Man beats the hell out of Iron Man. She-Hulk manages to get out of the Hulkbuster suit, but is promptly attacked by Ursa Major and Red Guardian. And Red Widow. But she's able to take down the three of them. Vostok, who appears to be made of liquid metal, seemingly takes her down, is going to take her down, but as the Winter Guard makes their way to the teleporter, it's revealed that Red Widow is aware that Ursa Major is also an undercover operative for Black Panther, as Red Widow kills him. Apparently, though, the deal was that she was supposed to kill Gorilla Man, but she informs him that his deal was with Dracula, not her, and they teleport away. She-Hulk is put on trial, and it appears she's being turned red. And that is where the issue ends. The big thing I really want to say is it's nice to see some of those little nuggets of plot that got set up long ago actually being acted upon, like the fact that Gorilla Man made a deal with Dracula, and that Black Panther made deals with a lot of people, including Ursa Major. Where this is leading, anyone's guess. But as I understand, it's supposed to all culminate with issue number 50. So, but yeah, it's a solid issue. It's nice to see that It's also nice to see that Brandy, the Starbrand kid, is going to remain at least kid aged as opposed to being a baby. I have kind of wondered how that was going to work out, because you can't age them. That's the main reason superheroes don't have kids. It ages them. You have to, the hero has to age with their spawn, with their child, or yeah, or you just say, oh, hey, yeah, he doesn't age, and it's like, well, what about the regular human parent? Funny thing, but so yeah. Anyway, moving on, we've got American Chavez made in the USA number 4. Where we left off, America met her biological sister, and we learned more about their past. At least what Catalina claimed was their past. And it turned out that Catalina, America's sister, has a bunch of test subjects held prisoner in stasis tubes. But America sent her sister away, and apparently there's a syringe which has the answers America seeks. So America at least trusts this girl enough to inject herself with the syringe, and basically she sees a truncated version of her past at the Utopia Parallel. It seems that Gales, who owned the Utopia Parallel, or who ran it, was possibly looking to profit off of America's abilities when she was a child. Her moms tried to escape with America and Catalina, as well as the other test subjects, while America and Catalina got away, as did presumably some of the test subjects. America and Catalina's mothers. Well, one was killed by Gales, the other sacrificed herself to free everyone. And it almost seemed like they escaped. As America and Catalina were jumping into one of America's portals, Catalina was grabbed by Gales, and America ended up in the ocean, where she was found later by the Chavez family. But America says she's going to free the test subjects that Catalina's gathered, but Catalina wants to continue their mother's work. And she's got some leverage against America's foster brother, Berto. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Neat to see her America and Catalina's actual past. I use the air quotes because, well, it's comics. If another writer comes along in a decade and decides, I don't like that at origin, and can come up with a reason to make it fit, to throw it out, it will be. Nature of the beast. The rest of the story will be acknowledged, of course, but, yeah. Anyways, moving on to our next book, we've got Captain America number 30, the final issue of Ta-Nehisi Coates' run. So where we left off, Alexa Lukin had been assassinated. As Captain America was leading an assault on the Red Skull's compound. So, interspersed between Cap fighting Red Skull's goons, including Crossbones, is a flashback to Sin and Alexa talking, and Alexa causes Sin's Sister Superior abilities to remanifest. Cap seemingly has a discussion with Red Skull. And say, basically, hey, you sacrificed these people. They believed in you. You sacrificed them like they were nothing. And Red Skull just goes on this whole thing about how, yeah, and you know what? I'll do it 10 more times if it'll get the job done. They mean nothing to me. Just going off on them. But it turns out Skull's being recorded. And even better, the whole thing is being live streamed via his not YouTube channel. Which leads to quite a few of his followers turning their backs on him. There's still a few who say, well, hey, at least he tells it like it is. But also it turns out that Cap was never actual. But Cap is teleported out, and they seemingly take down Red Skull without... but yeah, he still has some followers, but things aren't near as bad as they were. No more hate bombs. The Friends of Humanity are still around, as we'll see later. Also, it turns out that the assassin known as the Foreigner, from his conversation with the Kingpin, with Mayor Fisk, it's implied that the mayor is aware of the Scourge of the Underworld's recent reappearance, and that the Foreigner might be the current Scourge of the Underworld. Also, it's confirmed that the Foreigner took down Alexa Lukin. And while it might not be a clear victory, Red Skull does still have followers, and he's still out there. Sharon and Peggy, and hell, even Bucky managed to convince Steve to, at least count as a win. However, also Sharon informs Steve about what she did, and Steve's understanding, and like, hey, I don't agree with it, but there are sometimes you do have to go down a darker path than normal. But anyways, the issue ends with Sin coming to see Alexa and see the Lucans once again, and Alexei, now in control, or back in control, claims that it should have been Sin who was killed as opposed to Alexa. And those Sister Superior powers, those come in handy again. Basically, she tells Alexei that she's no longer his lackey, but his equal. And that and she swears on Alexa's life and Alexei's legacy, well, Lexi and Red Skull's legacies, that she will write the name Superior across the world in blood. And that is where the issue and the story arc and the run and the co-thread on the title ends. Good stuff. I want to say it's actually the issue's a little bit late, but not super late. I don't like the fact that it's ending the way it's ending, because I know how this usually goes. A writer ends their run, new writer takes over, completely abandons any plot points that may have been established in previous runs. Sometimes that's not the case. A prime example would be when Brian Michael Bendis left Daredevil and Ed Brubaker took over. Brian Bendis ended his run on Daredevil with Daredevil being arrested. So Ed Brubaker had to pretty much start off with Daredevil in jail. But yeah, and basically find a workaround to get him released, which worked out fairly well actually. So yeah, but yeah, so we'll see what happens in. As far as I know, they have not announced a new creative team yet, so we'll see. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 2, part of the Infinite Destinies group of annuals. And yep, it's got Spidey taking on Star. So it turns out Star went to Midtown High. But she mucks around with reality a bit, and because the Reality Stone. When her therapist asked about the copay for her most recent session, steal some dogs, some jewelry, clothes, and after a while, and things are going nicely at home for her. But well, turns out diamonds are boring. So she just has to get some revenge. Walks into Midtown High and is briefly the most popular kid in school. Talks to the principal, gets alumni records. Turns out one of her high school tormentors is the gym coach. So, but yeah. And one of the teachers is a former classmate of Peter's. Lets Peter know that, the gym teacher, another former student, not from when they were students, but, was brutalized. And that seems to be what so that does appear to be what Star is doing, is getting revenge on the people who tormented her in high school. Spidey manages to stop her. Then Star decides she wants webbing, but it only lasts for a little bit, so yeah. But she engineers a meeting with her mother. And they have a chat, and turns out that Star's mother is long dead. And she was thinking maybe things would be different now after the whole Thunderbolts thing and saving the city. But then Peter tries to say, hey, you can do better. And it'll be real. You got to break the cycles. But he also says, you still have to go to jail though for killing the guy. But yeah. And when she escapes, she leaves a note for Spidey. Thanks for giving me time to charge up with the big weepy pep talk, and I'm keeping the dog. See you later, Spider Chump. Which brings us to the backup story, Infinite Fury, Part 4. Where we left off, while investigating a new player, turns out the new player realized that Fury was investigating them and set up a trap. And has since kidnapped Fury. Basically saying, all you do is protect the status quo when you could truly change the world, though. Apparently, this mysterious stranger wants to rebuild the world, a better world, a just world, a world that made sense with the snap of one's fingers. So, some of the points that Fury makes is that the person, the mysterious kidnapper, is a male adult, American citizen, possibly from DC, not a Hydra uniform. So I'll go ahead and say it. I'm pretty sure that it's Nighthawk from after the events of Heroes Return, as he did say he would bring his world back. But yes, he's using various lights and various forms of manipulate lights, sounds, drugs, and whatnot to manipulate to kind of keep Fury off balance while they have their talk. That is where the issue ends. The A story was, okay, nothing spectacular. It was amusing. I think it's the little things that are more amusing than anything, like Spider-Man going over the list of, okay, well, it couldn't be this person because this, or that. Couldn't be Scarlet Witch because she wouldn't just steal dogs if she's lactose intolerant. Wouldn't be Mephisto because he would just let loose all the snakes in the pet store, so on and so forth. Also the little nods to like knowing who stars, because occasionally, yes, he does read his Avengers briefings, even if he does usually just send them to his spam, or to his spam folder. Anyway, but yeah, it's the little, the real, with the exception of the Black Cat annual, the real high point of all of these has been the Infinite Fury backup story. The Black Cat annual, you actually had a story. The Black Cat story was actually just as good as the Infinite Fury chapter. Which brings us to our next book, however, Extreme Carnage Alpha. So, after the events of King in Black, Flash Thompson is back amongst the living. So we start off with a Senator Philip Crane, who's affiliated with the Friends of Humanity, who have rebranded in the Krakoan era. Yeah, mutants are still an issue, but now there's more than just mutants that are threats to humanity. But while he's giving a speech about the alien threat, we basically see the Carnage symbiote continue its trek back to the world, infesting a shark, ripping apart a bunch of Somali pirates and taking over one of them, then going after it's making its way to the U.S. But Crane announces that there's going to be a big monument, slab of stone in the National Mall to commemorate those who died during Null's invasion. But Crane's like, it's just another meaningless hunk of stone. What we need to do, but the Friends of Humanity, we're going to have a rally, to get the president, basically show the president what's really important. But while talking with his team, Crane says the only extent between him and the presidency is one alien killing spree. So the last person the Carnage symbiote met up with, Dr. Miller, gets off of a plane and is met by a driver who gets a text from the person he's meeting. And they go driving as the symbiote takes him over, and he slaughters the driver. Back in New York, Flash Thompson is moving boxes with a former squad mate of his. But Carnage being back, he actually ends up having a chat with Carnage. Carnage takes on his full, the classic form, but it's a kind of a reverse astral projection type of thing, and Flash comes to almost about to attack his former squad mate while anti-venoming out. As Flash runs, he's found by none other than Iron Man. Turns out Iron Man just wants to talk. He still has but we'll get to that later. Some Alchemax people meet with the Doctor about things, but they are all but one of them killed by Carnage. But yeah, it turns out that Iron Man still has his extrembio armor from King in Black, and he explains to Flash he can control it like any other armor, but Flash explains that it's a living thing. There's no controlling it, not long term, but you control your symbiote, Brock controls his, and Flash's like, hey, it's different. A host and symbiote work together, not if Tony were to exclusively wear the extrembio armor, then yeah, okay. But it's also Tony also tells Flash about what's going on with the Senator, and that it looks like Carnage is back, and yeah, it's Flash confirms it, explains what happened with the vision he had, and it also adds that there's never been a stronger symbiotic bond than Carnage and Cletus Cassidy. But it suggested someone run, keep an eye on the senator, make sure nothing, because if anything does happen, he becomes if he does get killed, but if he were killed in an alien attack, well, he'd be a martyr. At one of his rallies, Flash is present. He can hear Carnage in his head, and it's enough to get him to, anti-venom out. But Flash tells Tony that Crane isn't in danger, and in fact, there's a good chance that Carnage is Crane. But Flash recruits his former squad mate, who had been mentioning, not wanting to keep doing little stuff, wanting to, maybe some kind of security job. But Flash says, hey, contact Senator Peter Crane. Get in on his security detail. And the issue ends with with the senator doing a talk show interview. Where he says that when we come together next month, we'll be able to see how many of us there are, what we can do. He thinks the world's in for a big surprise, and that is where the issue ends. It's a setup issue, plain and simple. The whole point was to establish what's going on with Carnage, as well as at the very least, Flash Thompson. The next Extreme Carnage book will actually be a screen one-shot. So, but yeah, it's going to be the one-shots will be following the Life Foundation symbiotes, Toxin. I think there's supposed to be a new, newly introduced symbiote as well, but yeah. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.